I'd like to open the floor for any questions for either Paul or Adam. We still have about 10 minutes. Okay, great.
Paul, while we're waiting for your draft policy, can you recommend any schools you think are handling this issue particularly well?
My answer is no, but not because they don't exist. My answer is no, because that's the next stage for us to explore. And indeed, this morning, right here, if your school has already started to think about and address this issue, I would love to hear from you. It has been a sad or interesting experience to me how many individuals have come up to me, because this is not the first time I've done this presentation, and said to me, I know about this issue personally. It's really important, and we need to address it right away. And then some people have said, my school is already on top of this. So one thing I'd like ahead to do is to start to find out, what campuses are already thinking about how to best address this issue. And by the way, I've heard suggestions like, let's do all the accommodating through the Title IX process. I've heard suggestions, let's do as much of the accommodating as possible through the 504 process. I have a little bit of prejudice in favor of putting much of this in the 504 process. And I say this as a lawyer. When the student comes and talks to the Title IX officer, everything the student says to the Title IX officer is part of the due process record, right? And therefore the student might not reveal everything, and I don't care if the student, was drunk or whatever. To our function, that's irrelevant, right? So it may be that your offices can do a more, for want of a better word, guilt-free, off-the-record, confidential interview to figure out what's going to work best. Is Christy still here? So Christy, I'm going to put you on the spot. Welcome to being president. Do you think AHEAD could help us find out which campuses are already addressing this and what the best practices are?
Potentially. I think that it's a hard issue to be able to collect information like that. So I think if you are doing that, I think Paul would be a good person to talk to. He is really good about looking for model policies and how we do things. So I think if you feel like your campus is doing something well, Paul would be a good person to talk to. And I think this is a project that we will see ongoing.
Thank you, Christy. Yeah. And so Paul Grossman, one word, at Comcast.net. So if you have a policy or an idea about a policy or concern about a policy or know why there's going to be a conflict between the 504 and Title IX function, I'd like to hear it. How many of you are aware of the organization ATICSA? Okay, so ATICSA is probably the leading technical assistance entity on Title IX matters. And an individual who's very highly placed at ATICSA was kept as an expert witness in the Carlton case on behalf of the victim, by the way, not the college. And I'm also working with them to review this model policy. So we'll see what happens. But I absolutely agree, you don't need to wait for the official policy, right? You might improve yours, right? You might shift yours, you might edit yours once we have out some more guidance. But this is, in one sense, this is a very simple thing to do, right? Let's do it.
What does the stand for?
Association of Title IX, I don't know. Is anybody? Title IX administrators, thank you.
I'm new to the field, so I just have a quick question about how does the accommodation process and the Title IX process work different than our process?
So in theory, the purpose of the Title IX process is to determine whether or not the sexual violence took place, to discipline the offending students. But many Title IX offices actually do put in place temporary accommodations. And they don't really, it's not really that it's authorized by Title IX, but it's that the administration of the school is happy to have them do it. But their knowledge of the range of accommodations is not the same as yours. Their knowledge about how to implement the accommodations is not the same as yours. And so that's why I would like us to be sharing in this process. Questions for Adam? Adam, how do I find a good therapist?
Sure. Yeah, so a conversation I have with students kind of frequently. Definitely health insurance is a thing in the United States of America, so you might check with your health insurance, see if it's covered, find someone who's covered. Actually, I had a really nice campus resource, actually. So we have a counseling and consultation service, is the name of our counseling office, and they have a database of providers in the area. And so I searched Ally, so under like LGBTQ was like one of the fields. I searched Ally and found my therapist. And, definitely therapy is only good as the therapist. You got to find the right match. And I've been with her for like 3 years. Her name's April. I've referred several people. If you're in the Columbus area, let me know. Yeah.
Thank you. Other questions for either of us?
Hey, so good morning, Adam. I just want to say how proud I am of Adam Crawford. And this is one of those moments because I know he would never, ever do this. In Baltimore several years ago, Adam and I sat at a table in an Italian restaurant. We tried to figure out a way that people could communicate their ideas and thoughts and things like that. And we were sitting there, and we both loved TED Talks. And we both came up with a HEAD Talks thing. And we were like, we are going to make this happen someday. And Adam, I'm so proud of you for giving your first HEAD Talk this morning. Give him some credit here. That's awesome. You did a great job. And I want you to know I was taking your picture, and I sent it to Catherine, and I wanted her to know what you had done. Very, very proud of you. Yeah. He was a GA then, so there you go. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, well then I guess we are all set for today. Thank you all for coming. Grab a cup of coffee before you leave. Your first session starts at 9.